I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Man, that is a sad clown.
Dude, that's pretty good.
This is The Gloom, bringing you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha Packs, exploring their F3 experiences and finding those sticky elements that create the glue in the gloom.
All right, here we go. So this is exciting because we're in person. We got three guys here, and we have a very special guest. I think just talking to this guy as we were eating a little bit of grub here. I'm excited that this guy has come down from the nosebleed section and is gonna give us a chance to hear his story. So we got Cheap Seats on the Gloom on this episode. So Cheap Seats, tell us where it started, man. Who EH'd you? Who brought you out? What was that first workout like? And then how'd you get the name Cheap Seats?
Absolutely. Well, it's good to actually be here in person, guys, versus virtual or Zoom. So, yeah. So the story goes that I was obviously a father of three. When I was first being EH'd, and our man Borland, if you guys know Borland, is the one that EH'd me. And so he was not a redwood, but he was one of the beginners when this first started. And we go to church together, St. Wenceslas, and he was leaning on me for about 6 months to do this F3 workout group. He's like, "You'll love it. You'll do great at it." And I was just sitting there the whole time like, do I want to get up in the morning? Typical same story that everybody has, right? Am I going to work out in the cold? But he finally got me, and I just did not want to pay for a gym membership. Yeah. I mean, that's what it came down to. I did not want to pay for a gym membership. Core principles. Yeah, core principles. And so I'm like, all right, try it. So we first workout was Wild Kingdom. Okay. So we went to Wild Kingdom. It's probably still my favorite site if that question gets brought up, is Wild Kingdom. But I knew it was the right group right away because I'll give a shout out to Tonight Show. Tonight Show went to Hastings College, and so we did basically a 4-station grinder with a bunch of Merkins, and he was in my group, and I recognized him. Yeah. And so I was like,
at Hastings?
At Hastings, yeah. So I saw him, and he's 2 years older than me, and he played soccer. I played basketball. And I was like, I know you. And so he's like, yeah, Ron Carson. I remember. Yeah, I'm like, absolutely. So that just kind of started the snowball. Workout was definitely challenging. I mean, if you go back to my first workout, as you guys were talking, like sweaty as all hell. Yeah. So it was pretty crazy. But I probably started coming 2 to 3 days a week when I first started. And then we'll probably get into it a little bit more, but then it just became like an addiction. Yeah. And that's kind of where it's at as it stands today.
Nice. Yeah. So how'd you get the name?
So Tonight Show gave me the name. So I had no clue we were getting a nickname. So Tonight Show told me when we were on our stations, he's like, "You're going to get a nickname again." I got scared. Like, what is going on? I'm going to get a nickname. So I didn't know what that meant. He's like, "Oh yeah, say something about yourself, and we'll name you in about 30 seconds." And so they just said, "What are your hobbies?" And one of my biggest passions and hobbies is going to Major League Baseball games. I go probably 2 to 3 hours early before every game. And I scour the seats for baseballs. I try to see players like I'm a little kid when I do this stuff. And then Tonight Show throw out Cheap Seats. And knowing what I know now, it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been. Well, he gave you a kindness by letting you know beforehand. Most people don't even know that. Yeah. Like, hey, let's get in the circle.
That's true. That's true.
Tonight Show's a good guy. He missed the boat with choosing soccer.
That's very true. Very true.
So,
yes.
Baseball is my favorite too. So were you working out before and looking for a gym, or what was?
Yeah. So I mean, I was really not working out before F3. I mean, sporadic, once every 2 weeks. Okay. I go for a little what we call mosey now. Yeah. 2.5 miles, but it was a lot of walking. Yeah. And a lot on my own. And knowing what I know now about F3, like, it'd be tough to keep coming back out with guys. And so that's why I didn't work out. I had nobody to work out with. I'd gone to some gyms, but you kind of feel isolated at the gym. Not to hate on gym guys, but you feel a little bit isolated. So I think Borland consistently being from like you're going to be from a group of guys. That's cool. Yeah. And there was a little intimidation there to be like, come out to this, and there's a ton of fit guys. You guys yourselves, a ton of guys that can run forever, and so that was a little intimidating. But no working out, and this started basically my journey of almost over 2 years now. I am over 2 years now being involved in F3.
Well, the gym setting is just so much different, right? Like if you're a habitual gym guy, like you've got earbuds in and you're just like giving the nod, like you recognize the same people because you're usually there around the same time, and you're just like, all right, I see you, you see me, but there's hardly there's no interaction.
You don't have any interaction.
And so that's what's so unique here is like we're given the opportunity where you're almost forced to interact with each other, right? I mean, you're working in such close quarters. There is sometimes some people bring music or they start with their own rap or something like that, freestyle. But,
I've only seen a few do that.
Yes. Only one rapper in F3.
There's a few out there. There's another region I saw a recent rap. But so health-wise, where were you at? I mean, were you pretty fit still, or healthy, or how was
it's funny. Literally this morning at Armory, we were talking about that. Who was I talking to now? It's going to escape me, but Big Unit. Big Unit was like, how'd you start? Like, where were you at as far as weight-wise and everything? And when I started, I was probably 207. And so when I first started at 3, I was like, I want to get the whole goal is to get in shape, right? Any guy that starts like, I want to work out in, I want to get in shape. And so I started just doing the beat downs, and I started gaining weight. And some of it was probably a little bit of muscle, but I was actually going up to 210. I'm like, what's going on? So I do vividly remember like Plague U and all these pre-runners. I'm like, that would be cool to do someday. Yeah. And so that's when I started just gently pre-running, probably 6 months into joining F3. And that's helped me get into best shape that I've probably been in since college with basketball, and now down to 185 and enjoying the process.
I was really hoping you'd say, then I picked up coffee and then I dropped 15 pounds.
That would be a magic pill, right? Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think the pre-runs are a good test, right? I mean, I think a natural progression would be, okay, I'm going to hit the workouts, and if you're starting to excel there, okay, well, there's always avenues where you can challenge yourself again. The pre-runs, doing the Apex Challenge or something like that, setting metrics there where you can do that. So I guess, when did you start to kind of gradually get into the second F period? I mean, like the coffees, stuff like that.
Yeah, that probably took honestly longer than the fitness, because like I said, when I joined this, I strictly wanted to be doing fitness. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to do. I didn't understand like going to coffee after, like, what, they go to coffee too? Like, are these guys brothers, or what's going on here? And so that was probably maybe 7-8 months.
Really?
Yeah. After I started like going to coffee and actually being engaged in conversations, I might go occasionally just get a cup and leave, and say, thanks for the workout, kind of go from there. But obviously, as we talked about, the glue is the guys, right? And so that's what you look forward to the most now. It's like the coffee, all these things that we do like this, that has been the glue. So coffee has been our second F, all the stuff as far as shield locks, I'm in a shield lock now. Having accountability group has been great.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, so I want to back up, because we have a lot of guys that I think are in this space where they want to kind of start running. Because I think running, for me, you're burning a lot of calories, and if your goal is to lose weight, it's a really, really helpful tool. But it's really intimidating, right? If you've never been a runner, how do you just start running one day? So I think there's maybe the question I would have for you is, what did that kind of gradual progression look like, or what advice would you give to a guy who's kind of on the fence with, like, I know I want to run, I'm not sure when to start? Like, what did you do?
Yeah, so when I first started, Vandalay, who I'll probably mention several times throughout this podcast, was instrumental in like sticking with me. But before Vandalay, I will tell you, so I started running at Wild Kingdom. I started doing the short path at Wild Kingdom. And I would stick with some guys, but typically I was in the back. I was the sixth, as we all are at some point throughout this process. But I'll never forget, I finally decided to do a long run at Wild Kingdom. I think it was John Claude. I don't know if you were there, but it's hard hat, John Claude, all like the fast guys that can run. And it was just me, and I'll never forget TC. Special shout out to TC. I always tell this story. I had to walk. I had to take my time, and he stayed back with me. I kept saying, "You can go, please go." He's like, "Nope, I'll stay with you." And there's 3 times I stopped and walked, and he stayed with me. So what I tell guys now that are starting to pre-run is kind of get your group. Like, got a group who doesn't want to run with you. But as myself now, knowing what that's like, I try to stay back with those guys occasionally as well. It's good to have those guys be with you as you start the pre-run. Because like you said, you can get discouraged if you've never done it before.
Yeah, and that's great. And we've actually had like the Clydesdales group, right?
Yes.
Where they've tried to form and like, hey, we're going to be intentional about our pace and being inclusive for other guys that may need to hang back and aren't trying to run with the blade and talk at the same time.
Well, and that's a good
I got to tell my flight story though, right? I got to tell my flight story.
Well, let's hear it. I don't know what story.
So like, I think the one time I hung with Flag was top rope or old Oracle. I don't know what it was, but it was just me and you. I don't know if you remember. It was just me and you, and we were doing the kind of the hill route, which is a 3 mile. You go up by Karma and you circle back around. And you're talking faith, and I loved it. He's just talking. We're going about 7:30, 7:45 pace, not my pace. And so at the end, when we're strolling downhill, you're talking like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm just trying to get through the run right now." So that is my plague running. So I tell people pretty frequently.
That's slow pitch has another good one too, and it's a good reminder. You know, TC is such a good role model to just. I think where we started the pre-run was like really an extra credit, almost a selfish desire to like, okay, we're gonna run and we're gonna run fast and burn a bunch of calories. But I think the way it's caught on, I mean, there's a pre-run at almost every site, and so I think especially for myself, it's just how can I be more open to just staying back and realizing what it does for a guy who's just trying to run. So I appreciate you sharing that because it's tough to like always remember that.
Yeah, I know it's hard for guys too, but everybody listening, I mean, if you're interested in pre-run, ask somebody to run with you. No runner is going to say, "No, I'm not going to run with you." Right. So there's guys like Mulligan that have just completely accelerated. Yeah. I mean, the guy runs like 4 or 5 pre-runs that are 5 miles every week. Yeah. And so he's just accelerated throughout the process. He started slow, guys ran with him, and now he's outrunning some of these guys. So, lots of cool stuff.
I think it's a great tool. And, it can be used as a second F. I know there's times where, like, we haven't had opportunity. Well, there's times where you can't breathe, and that's not a possibility.
That was this one.
But you can be intentional. I know I don't want to put people on blast, but slow pitch, IC and I have been intentional of, hey, we're going to be mindful of our pace, but we are using this opportunity to connect with each other, and not so much of like kill each other because we're going to stick around for the workout or not. But it's really more, hey, we're going to be intentional with opening up with each other and having some dialogue. So I don't think it needs to be the killer that it's, maybe it was formed for, but...
And that's a great point because I will say, I tell Gator this all the time, like, that's where you connect with guys, at least I do, is on the pre-runs. Because you do talk about deep stuff, you might go slower pace, but you talk about deep stuff. And that's been great. That's how I've gotten to know a ton of guys. It's almost like an informal shield lock that you create with a lot of guys that maybe aren't in your shield lock is through these pre-runs.
Yeah, well, and I know like for like a guy like Panios, what he shared with us was he doesn't get to stay for coffee just with his family schedule. So if you can't stay for coffee, but you're needing that second half, I mean, I think running is pre-run is where it's at. So I think what's important too, I think why I wanted you to share that was because I think there's enough guys that are wanting to run. They're not sure how to start, and I don't know that we always create that path for them. So thank you for sharing your journey. What about
any guy that wants to run? Reach out to me. I'll run with you. No problem.
And I will support you running with Cheapsy. I will I will commit to, if somebody were to reach out and say, let's run together, I will commit to running at whatever pace you want.
Absolutely.
How about that? It's official. It's out there. So from a second F perspective, then you mentioned a couple of things. So Shield Lock.
Yep.
I think you posted at some sites with Q Source and kind of some of those conversations that maybe blend the second F and kind of into that third F. So how have those things been from your perspective?
Yeah, so never knew what a shield lock was.
Yeah.
All this terminology with F3, right? You don't know what some of this stuff is, but, we started getting close with, the guys in my shield lock, just for a shout out, Mufasa, Barndor, Gator, and Blaze of Glory.
Yeah.
And so was really running with Gator a lot, with Blaze of Glory a lot, and then just we obviously knew Mufasa being around us all the time. And then Barndor was getting into big running as well after COVID was basically hitting. So we all just have the same sites. And Gator, I think, brought it up. And he's just like, let's do this shield lock. And I go, what is it? And Barndor, if you don't know Barndor, I think you guys just interviewed him, but he's not by the book on what the shield lock process is. And it's really just a tightly formed small group for you guys out there of F3 guys that really hold each other accountable. And you talk about deep stuff. You talk about things that are going in your life. And there's been situations with our shield lock that I've told them I share more stuff with those guys than I do with my high school friends, with my college friends, and some of that. And then there's no judgment. They're like, they're here to help. They're here for you. And so it's been a great encouragement. That's been probably been my favorite second F, has been the shield lock aspect. Going to Q Source, I've not been to a lot of Q Sources, but they're extremely beneficial. I've probably been to like 3 or 4 of them. And I think, if you're looking for that extra kind of like peer-led type of conversation, I know that's very valuable as well. So,
well, in the shield lock, right? So I think it's Q.2.4 or whatever.
Whatever that.
Don't quote me on that. But essentially, right? It's a Q source concept of the concentrica, right? And so it's your M, your shorties or 2.0s, and then your concentrica or your shield lock, sorry, and then it's like a whetstone relationship, that mentoring relationship, and then Mammon or work is the last one. So I think in essence you're experiencing some of that through the group. And what's interesting is in talking with all of the different guys in that shield lock, I noticed a sense of maybe confidence or kind of security in who you are, which I really think is like just that next step to really help solidify some of the things that we're trying to build into men as leaders, And so I would just commend you guys, whatever you're doing, seems to be working really well.
Yeah, I would just say, talk about it, guys. The cool thing about what our group has done, Gator brings up all the time about shield lock, and so other guys that are newer, probably within the last 3 or 4 months, have come up approach and say, what does this mean? Talk to us about this. We're going to walk them through that process, and they're slowly starting to form their own. So you guys are looking where to start. Again, we're all here to help.
I think it's a beautiful tool. Just the nature of people in public setting, right? We're usually quite reserved and we're not very opinionated outside of a few people. The beauty of Shield Lock is that it allows you, like you're saying, to be secure in your beliefs and who you are. And even if your beliefs may be awry of what is the norm, you have some balancing act with your Shield Lock of, hey, here's what I'm thinking. They're giving their perspective on it, and it's coming from a place of, hey, you can be completely vulnerable here and open with me, and I'm going to hold you accountable and, help you along the way. So.
What about, as you're thinking about just kind of life, right? So you're on this fitness journey, about 7 months later, so you probably made some progress with your fitness, and you start developing those relationships. Tell me about just your kind of as you start having those maybe deeper conversations. Where does faith come in for you? Was that something you kind of noticed about the group in the beginning, or did it take a while, just like the second half, to develop?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit on the way over. It's kind of tough to talk about faith, especially with a bunch of guys you just met. And so, the guy I probably connected with the most about faith, I'm Catholic, and Vandalay ran with me a lot. And so I look up to Vandalay's Catholic. And so that's when I probably started opening up initially, was how how did you do this with your kids? How did you do this with a situation that might pop up? And so, again, it was the pre-runs that I was on with Vandalay where we'd have our most probably in-depth conversations about faith and about what that means to our families and our 2.0s. So he was instrumental in me kind of breaking that shell, or breaking through that to say, I can talk about this. And then it's just led to the Shield Lock. I mean, we talk about faith all the time. And obviously the Circle of Trust. I mean, that's really, I go back to tonight's show. I heard him do a Circle of Trust like at the end, or excuse me, kind of a prayer at the end, not a Circle of Trust. I just loved how he read it. He just said it so well, and I'm like, I want to imitate some of these guys that pray at the end because it's so impactful on what they're talking about. And so that has helped me, the prayers at the end, to help kind of get me more comfortable to share my faith with the other PAX members.
Dude can pray, man. Tonight's show can pray. I used to be in a Bible study with him, and he's always been really good to pray. What about the COTs or the prayer? I mean, what do you think it is that just kind of helps to ignite that faith thing inside of guys?
Why is it the most intimidating thing to do with the workout? That's what
I don't know.
It's the most intimidating thing to do with the work. I think that's why everybody's like, I got to do a VQ, but I got to come up with a COT. So, no, I mean, the COT, as I've gone through the process, when I first started, I mean, that was literally the reason I didn't want to right. I didn't want to put the COT together. But when you first start out and you're like, you don't know these guys, you slowly start to hear COTs and they start to share like really deep stuff. Like, I remember you sharing some deep stuff in a spike workout once with me, and I was like, wow, this is like meaningful to guys that will share this with 5 or 10 people around the circle. And so when I saw guys do that and I got more comfortable, that kind of helped me say, I need to share what's going on in my life throughout that week versus probably just more of a canned COT, like be from the heart. Right. You give a COT message. And again, with my faith, I kind of like to relate back to Jesus somehow and how he's kind of helped me, or the Bible or something like that, because that's the word and that's how I try to express, I guess, my faith, because everybody's got different faiths, but that's how I share it in my COTs.
I definitely think that's a shared feeling, right? COT for me was the most, I don't know, there's the scariest thing to do about the VQ. And then I've talked to Blake about this, where I used to memorize my COTs before because I didn't want to screw it up. I wanted to be almost like a preacher. I wanted to be impactful for those that were listening to me. And I think at some point you just get comfortable. It's with leadership, and you just learn how to do certain things, right? And you get more comfortable the more you do them. I think at some point it's just, okay, well, what's on my heart today, like you're saying. At this point, I'm okay with just being vulnerable. It's not a show anymore of, okay, I put this together and it's going to be really impactful for these guys. It's, okay, what's weighing on my heart today, and is that going to resonate with anyone today? So.
And the most, again, for me, impactful. So the ones COTs I've given that have been from the heart, you usually will get a text from somebody like later that day or that week saying, hey, if you connect with one guy in a COT, that's what we're here for. And so that's always cool. You can do something from the heart, and if somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, that meant a lot to me. And there's been so many of those that I've experienced, and I think, it's a great thing about what we do in this circle.
Yeah, I love that, and shout out to Slow Pitch, because he is actually very good at sending the follow-up text message, and I could have completely bombed, but it felt like I killed it because of things like that. You feel like you're actually making a difference. So.
He's never said one of those to me, so I don't know.
I must be doing pretty good.
I don't know. You know what I would say too is, don't forget to if you're going through something or you've gone through something, don't forget to reshare that. I used to think sometimes I share the same thing over time, and I used to feel like it was redundant, but I realized we have enough new guys coming in, and so just letting them know, like, this is what this is for, right? To just share whatever is going on. And I think to your point, it's like, if you can impact one guy or reach one guy. I've made the mistake of having really long COTs, and so I'm trying to really.
That's what I heard. That's the rumor on the street. But that's when you're on top of the tank.
I'm trying to work on. I did have one from on top of the tank. What about? Curious. Would you share one of your favorite COTs?
Oh my my goodness, you're going to put me on the spot.
You have
all the COTs.
Or if you had to give just a brief COT right now.
Oh, wow, that's putting me on the spot. No, one of my favorites was just, and I'm not going to be able to repeat it, but Slow Pitch did one. Was it the Seesop Slow Pitch? I think recently, where he just talked about kind of the meaning of Boys Town and the meaning of how it's impactful on men. And so just the impact the group had from kind of a man-to-man type deal. Slow Pitch stands out from that. I think it was this year's Seaside. Yeah.
He's always good. I like a good slow pitch beat down in COT. So I guess the other piece of this, of your story, from my perspective, is leadership, and I think it's interesting, right? Because it took you a while to get fully engaged and understand it. But at what point did it kind of click for you that you're like,
I'm all in?
Yeah. Or maybe there wasn't that moment, or it was just you got approached and we decided for you. I don't know.
No, I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. The story I share of where it became almost a drug or an addiction was I wanted to get in shape. So this is that old or replacement Oracle for a while, which is Aldridge. And Vandalay was always doing 3 workouts. So he would pre-run. He would do the 6 and the 7. And I remember showing up just for one of the workouts, and I was I kept that would be cool to do. That'd be cool if I could actually do 3 workouts in a morning. And so he was kind of the start of it. And so as I started to graduate up towards, I want to do what he does, that kind of started me to think, I can help lead. If I can start, doing this. And again, that's when I started to get to know Vandalay a lot on pre-runs, and we'd stick around for both the workouts, and he shared kind of the details of what F3 was and what it meant, and it just slowly kind of led into, all right, Seats, you're going to be next on the Oracle. Are you willing to take it on? And honestly, the path of watching him do 3, me graduating to do 3, kind of got me to that point where I can do this. I can hopefully help guys out and share kind of my story.
Well, and just for the listeners, it is not a requirement that you do 3 workouts to be a side
We
chief.
call it the trifecta. Come out and do the trifecta, we call it. So.
Isn't it a ruck and a run and a beat down, right? That's
you can ruck it or pre-run it and then do the 6 and 7.
Okay.
So, and then go to coffee afterwards.
Well, I'm interested to hear about your relationship with Vandalay. Did you know Vandalay before?
Did not know Vandalay before.
And I really like that you're talking about how you got to know this individual and really shaped your journey through here. So how did that kind of start and become a thing?
Yeah, so I mentioned the TC story about how TC stayed with me on the run. The guy that consistently stayed back with me on runs was Vandalay. So I showed up at a workout, you were there, and all these fast guys were there. I'm I know I'm not going to keep up with them. Vandalay would always stay back with me. And so sometimes it was just me and him. A lot of times it was just me and him running, and then that's how we kind of got to know each other. So started to understand his story and how he's kind of led with F3. And so he's probably the guy I admire the most and respect the most in F3, and he's still the guy that if I don't see him in a week, I'm God, I haven't been to a Vandalay workout, or I haven't ran with Vandalay in a while. And so I just really respect how he's kind of raised his kids. He's had challenges in his life just like we all had. He shared those with me, and it's given me really good perspective on my 2 lives. And so that's why I kind of look up to him and say, as I pass my faith, as I pass my workout routines to my kids, I've learned kind of how Vandalay's done that. So just respect the heck out of Vandalay and what you've been able to do.
No, that's great. And have you been able to return the favor and be someone else's Vandalay?
You'd have to ask the backs that though, but I've been able to EH some guys, and I'm going to shout out to Steeple here. Steeple is a recent one. Again, he goes to St. Wentz. He told me before he would never pre-run when he joined this group. He would never ever do that, and so now Steeple's got a watch, an Apple Watch. He's on Strava, and he probably pre-runs 4 days a week. So shout out Steeple. He's doing about 2 to 3 miles of pre-run, so that's been good. Yeah.
There's a lot of guys. Bubbles is still a runner in denial. He always said, "I'll never be a runner."
Always runs.
I know. He said, "I'm not a runner." I love that. So when you think about leadership, then you've got a good role model, right? So somebody kind of showing you the way, kind of emulate some of those behaviors, and then you get a chance to lead, right, in the group. And I want to I want to posit your VQ because I think something that's interesting is our whole mission, right, is to reinvigorate male community leadership, and one of the ways is to get guys to lead, right? And so, talk to us about kind of just your leadership journey from like VQ to taking over the site, and maybe how did F3 help you develop as a leader, or did we, or some of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so I'll just start. VQ was at the Maze. I think you were there. Tater was there. A lot of guys were there. It probably took me, like I said, probably that 5-6 months to VQ. And I'll give credit to the guys out there right now. There's a lot of guys that do after 2 or 3 months now, which is tough to do. So again, stepping out of my comfort zone, I'll give Sasquatch some credit about like saying it's time for you to actually like VQ and do this.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he basically, we actually went to the site before my VQ, and I walked through what I was going to do with him because, again, you don't want to disappoint.
Yeah.
Like in your VQ, you want to make sure you have enough to do. And so I think from a leadership standpoint, having an agenda, being prepared, like walking through it with somebody, those are things I've done, but I would say that's actually helped me through that process. So that was kind of my VQ. And then as you look at taking over the Oracle, man, the Oracle's the OG, man. I mean, it's the OG, and I swear by this, like I was not ready to take it over because I was like, it's too much of an important site for a guy that hasn't been in it that long to take it over.
Sure.
But getting into the Oracle and like leaning in on Vandalay, leaning in on room service, on wait time, and even Low Man, who I don't know Low Man, but I've heard great things about Low Man being a part of the leadership team. Like they're like, you can do this, and this is how you do it. And so Vandalay, again, he walked me through the process of like, okay, these are the leadership things you need to do in your site. So again, the agenda, setting it up right, so I can deliver that every Saturday was important on how I go about leadership. So I don't know if that answers your question. I'm kind of rambling right now, but that's kind of where I've come from in the journey.
Have you feel like you've been able to apply? Does any of that transfer to other areas of your life? You feel like from like leading your family or leading in work or the community?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, is again, which part of my shield lock, I'm more honest with them than I am with other people. And so sometimes at work, I leave people at work, I'm not as honest and truthful with them. And so I think this has helped me be more like, if you care about somebody, you're honest with them. Right? And so I think I've learned that through F3 is like, if you really love somebody, even if it's hard news, you got to be truthful to them. You got to tell them the truth. I think that's helped me in my work experience as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then you were able to identify Hey, get someone to take it over for you.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? So no, Hey was like, so when I was going through the process, I was, probably 6 months into leading the Oracle. This new guy came, Hey. I mean, he first started at the 1776 games. And the thing I love about Hey, he's got energy, he's got passion, and he just seemed like a cultural fit to the Oracle. Yeah. And so I started to get to know him. He started pre-running, and I never even asked him to do all 3 workouts. Like, I don't ask anybody to do that, but he just gravitated towards it. Like, he started with the 6, and then he started doing the 6 and the 7, and he's like, now I'm going to come pre-run and do it. And again, this was all like unprompted. And so just his energy, his passion, the fact that he was kind of willing to do all 2 to 3 workouts, I was like, it was just a natural fit. So, Hey, really appreciate what you've been able to do, and great to know him since I've started.
So something unique, right? So Oracle is the OG. Is the OG, but it's the only Saturday site that's got the 2 workout times. And I don't know if everybody realizes this, but kind of traditional F3 fashion, right? The 7 a.m. workout on a Saturday is a really good place to EH a new guy, right? Who's 5:30 during the week is too early. Like 7 a.m. on a Saturday, like a lot of us could convince a guy to get out of bed on a Saturday, and you don't have to go to work, right? So
was the 7 the original?
7 was the original.
We used to play Ultimate Frisbee before, is what Vandalay told me. Like, so that was before a pre-run. Yeah, you guys would go play Ultimate Frisbee.
Yep. So it's interesting the fact that some sites have transitioned, right? They were at one time, and then they transitioned to a different start time. But in in this case, we just added another one, and I think it's worked really well. But from your perspective, how have you seen that structure at Oracle serve the new guy or the PAX? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I'm going to, again, call out Gator here. Gator made a comment once. He did the trifecta, and in our Shield Lock text, he made a comment about you get the full experience of F3 at the Oracle. He goes, you can get a pre-run in, so you can do your pre-run. You get the huge 6 a.m. group, so you get the huge, 20, 25 person group. And then he's like, you also experience the intimacy of a small, mumble chatter group, which is the 7 a.m. group.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really just was eye-opening. That is a perfect analogy for what the Oracle, I think, is now. Yeah. With the pre-run, the 6 and the 7. But as far as kind of just splitting out the times, I think it's beneficial. I know there's been conversations about do you just go back to 1? Yeah. But with the fact that we've grown so much, and the fact that we still get 10 to 15 at 7, it's been, I think, extremely beneficial to have those two. And it's unique, right? Yeah. It's like you said, the one site a week that you can actually do 2 or have the option to come to a 6 or 7 and 1.
Why do you think it is that people gravitated toward the 6?
Because everybody wanted 7, right? Wasn't that the point? Everybody wanted to come to 7.
I think the age of our PAX and the number of guys with kids that have Saturday activities, I think a 6 a.m. or earlier start time is appealing. Yeah. But I still think there's enough guys on a Saturday at 7 that are they're willing to do that, and that time works better. So I think it's interesting because I think it's kind of answering the question, why can't it be both? And I think it's worked really well to have both options. And someday I'll get old and sick of getting out of bed so early, or I don't know, how does that? It goes the other way. We'll want a 5 a.m. We'll want a 5.
No, but you have your regulars at Oracle at 7. Yeah. And that's the one thing I guess I appreciate about having both options, because once guys experience the Oracle, they can make that determination. You want to come to a smaller workout? Some guys I talk to all the time, I would prefer an 8 to 10 person workout versus the 30 to 40 because you can connect more. Yep. And so I love the fact that the Oracle gives you that option if you want the big group or if you want the small group.
Yeah. What I wanted to get your thoughts on this, because I know it was kind of a big deal, right? The transition back to Boys Town. What was that like from your perspective?
So I don't know if I think I led as a site queue one time at Oracle or 2 times, and then went to back to Boys Town. But I'm not gonna lie, I felt bad for Vandalay because he had the site, but it was pretty much all COVID, and so he was always at Aldridge, and so my hope was that he would experience, queuing the site at Oracle. But no, I'll be honest, there was a mystique around it. So when people talked about, it was at Boys Town, it was great, and that's when I was at Oracle or at Aldridge all the time, and I was like, God, this is like a great place that everybody's talking about, and it is. Yeah. It really is, and so that's why I was a little nervous to take it over, because I'm like, this is our wait time came up with F3 and said we're going to do this at Boys Town. I'm kind of centrally located. Wait time made the comment to me. He's like, it's on Heroes Boulevard. It's a site to bring in kind of all sorts of people, and so I think the transition was, understood that Aldridge was necessary, but the transition back to Boys Town I think was awesome. The first workout there, I don't even know, should know how many we had, but it's 30 or 40 guys at 6 because people wanted to go back to Boys Town. So it was really, really cool.
I did my VQ there, man.
Oh, you did? There you go.
Oh, man.
I want to ask you a question then. So talk about your VQ at Oracle.
Oh, man. Tonight Show and I did a co-Q for my VQ. Okay. And we did something called, it was pretty dorky, but I think he actually recently redid it, but it was we called it IT certifications. And we had all of these different certifications that are acronyms or, 4-letter things. And we came up with exercises, and we went over to Heartbreak Hill. Yeah. And we had guys doing Lieutenant Dan's Up the Hill. Okay. And it was a lot of fun. There weren't very many burpees though, which is rare these days.
Yeah, that is true, especially in a play workout.
It's for free. It's all free. What? So the other question on my mind, I guess, is you're thinking about. So you handed the shovel flag to Hey. And when I hear you talk about your story, what I hear you constantly saying is, this is what I experienced, and this is how I've now kind of used my experience to serve other guys, which I just love, and I'm feeling conflicted or maybe convicted because I need to do more of that. So just appreciate your leadership there. But tell us what else from a leadership, F3 perspective. I mean, as guys we're getting F&Gs coming in, or guys are taking over sites for the first time. Like, what would you share from your experience to kind of help them with some of those things?
Yeah, I mean, the moral I guess I use is the first year. I'll get to your question, but the first year I always feel, and a lot of guys have mentioned this in their anniversary cues, is that it's all about you. Yeah. It's all about like your fitness and getting fit, and making sure you're right. I would say that was where I was at. I go with the second year I've been into this, like, you want to help other guys, and that's where I've come in my last year. Is like, I want to help guys pre-run. I want to help guys VQ. And again, I'll give a shout out to Gator, because Gator is obsessed with this. Yeah. He's like, how do we keep guys coming? How do we keep them motivated? And it's something I never thought about when I first started. But as you get to the impact of what guys have on me, and hopefully what I'm having on other guys, you want to take that down to the next level. So I guess what I try to do is you just try to be as welcoming as possible. At least that's what I try to do. So like when the new guys have a workout, like, make the extra effort, guys, to go say hi to them, give them a side hug, give them a pound, like, show the energy that you have, because that's going to rub off on them. Yeah. So I think that's how we can help guys hopefully VQ and then Q regularly, and then start that process of the next site Q leadership and things like that. It's just simple as being welcoming.
That's the first time I've ever heard of it. Like, you graduate into like caring about other people, right? Like your first little bout.
When does that happen?
I'm still waiting. Yeah, I know.
It's tough to do.
Yeah. No, this idea of like your first experience in F3 is very. You're here for selfish reasons. Like you're saying, I would agree with that. I came to get fit. I didn't. And then I came to meet friends, and you start caring about these people. That's how the goal is to reinvigorate male community leadership, and that's probably just one step of like graduating into this leadership role. And it's interesting.
Well, and it's a thing of just reaching out to guys. I mean, I haven't mentioned FDIC yet, but FDIC has been instrumental. Like when I first started, he was the guy that would text me every week.
Yeah.
So like when I go to a workout, typically it's Red Wings, I would go do the Murph or something like that. He would always reach out to me and say, hey, how'd you do today? How'd you feel? Was it good? Was it not good? It's like, what do you need from me? And I think, we have to pay attention to that as leaders now of F3, is like, we need to reach out to those guys, because, I mean, people waver, right? They come and maybe they didn't have a good experience, or maybe they had a great experience, but that extra text, that extra call, I mean, it was critical for me, and like me wanting to keep coming back. Yeah. And so if we can start doing that as leaders, that's something I know that I want to start doing more.
All right. Yeah. Any tips for the guys like me and Blake who their ego's getting away? Like, seriously, I mean,
hey, speak for yourself.
I have the problem. I have the problem of like new guys. I'm not super open, or like even with some of the guys I know, it's just you have this like fake. I've got to be cool and like level-headed and not be overly outgoing and I don't know. That's something I personally struggle with myself. Where I'm like indifferent, right?
I think some of it is I know where I rank in the kind of rankings of our group, and then a new guy comes in and there's like this ego kind of like territorial, right? Yeah. And I was this way actually. My first workout had a tea party workout with Tater Tot, because he and I chatted the whole time, but he mentioned to me like he could feel this sense of like I was a little territorial of like, this is my group. Yeah. What are you doing in my group? Yeah. And just realizing that like the whole purpose of this is
everything gets clicks, right? We all get clicks of some certain things, but the one thing, our Shield Lock had a challenge. I think it was 1 week or 2 weeks. I can't remember, probably Gator. Gator's kind of our leader. But he's like, reach out to somebody you have not seen in a while, or haven't talked to in a while. So he gave us that challenge to basically do that, and so we all reached out to 2 or 3 guys. Now, again, some responded, some didn't. Sure. But if you want, I guess advice is like, there you go. Pick somebody you don't know, Pony, and say, I'm going to make an effort to get to know them and try to make sure they keep coming back. So
I think the biggest struggle I have is I want to be that person for everybody. Yeah. And so then kind of trying to be that person for everybody makes me not be that person for anybody, if that makes sense. So trying to just figure out like, how do I focus in?
Focus, right?
Yeah, but what's hard is like I saw FDIC at coffee yesterday, and I'm like, man, I've kind of lost touch, right? As we've gotten bigger, as I've moved to a different part of the city, you kind of lose touch with guys that at one point in your life you felt really, really close to.
Yep.
And I think the thing I love about guys in F3 is like most of the time, like nobody else is thinking that.
Yeah.
Nobody else is like never calls me anymore. Like that's an internal kind of negative self talk. At least is how I'm getting over that. I don't know if it's, but anyway, enough of the plague therapy session. Tony and I we can stick around and we'll write in our journals later. But, I do want to know, so most and least favorite exercise.
Okay.
For you, I want to hear, because you've seen a ton of different workouts. You've led a lot of workouts. What makes that list?
Okay, favorite. So my go-to is a crowd pleaser. So that's like one of my favorites. Gets the heart rate up. Special shout out to Sparty, because he's the one that typically when I go to a Sparty workout, there's a crowd pleaser. So I've put that into a lot of my workouts. So that's one of my favorites. I don't know if it's a workout, but heart rate hill, running any type of hill, but especially heart rate hill, Bernie Sanders up hills is a favorite of mine. Like I like doing that stuff. So those are two probably. The ones I just do not like. It was funny. We did a Seinfeld. What's the airing of grievances at the combine once, and one of the things we did was the airing of grievances about the exercise you didn't like, and Bonnie Blair's is one of those for me. So like if you truly do them and get down to your knees, Bonnie Blair's is awful. And then one-legged burpees. So tater tot and slow pitch. Did one-legged burpees at the Oracle once. I'm like, this isn't good. This isn't good. So how about you guys, real quick? Quick top two, bottom two.
Mine are fluctuating. I'm trying to think of monkey humpers have always been one I'm a fan of. I don't know why. I just don't feel like I can do many, and I think I look stupid when I'm doing them. And I think I'm cool, so I just like
it's my ego. It's my ego. Anything that is my ego.
The good ones. I don't know. I do like a burpee pull-up variation at some of my workouts. I think those are cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with I like burpees. Obviously, my favorite is probably I like this Bonnie Blair squat burpee that Iron Packs has been having people do. Burpees are good. If I'm stressed, I'm gonna do 100 burpees and get over it. And then my least favorite. I don't know that I have a least favorite. I think the hardest for me to do are probably thrusters, or if you ever tried like
any coupon deal, I would agree with you.
If you've ever tried a pistol squat or like a one-legged squat, those are really hard to do.
Weak quads too.
That's more. So my shoulders and weak quads.
I don't know. They just don't build them anymore like this. I do think those are some of my favorite questions. I know people like those.
That's true.
The last question.
Love those.
the last question where we like to kind of end, and Pony came up with this, but what about for you? Like, as guys see you out there, what can we be praying for or encouraging you on? Just what are you going through right now that guys could be thinking about?
Me personally, we talked about this before we got on here, but I mean, my son James has type 1 diabetes, so he's in school now, and I'm always a little fearful that at some point kids might start saying, "What is that stuff?" On your body and things like that. That hasn't happened yet, but continue to pray for him to have kind of a smooth transition into middle school years and things like that. Pray for my M. She stays at home with all four of them, so God knows she needs the patience, and she is a saint. But honestly, I feel very blessed. The biggest thing, honestly, on my heart right now is just as we sit in our COTs, so many guys are going through stuff, and there's just been a lot of cancer stories out there recently. There's been a lot of tragic stuff going on, and so I know that isn't me, but that's honestly what's been on my heart. Is like how you pray for all these people that need those prayers as much as they do right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, maybe we need a men's health awareness month or something. I can, get your regular checks.
I do like though people right now in the COTs are getting. What are your thanks?
Yeah.
So instead of like again talk about tough stuff, but also where's the praise? Where's it? What do you?
Yeah, where are your things at? Where are your things at?
I'm thankful for health and our family. I mean, I know we talk about our son James, but overall we're about as healthy as we've been as a family. I'm thankful for F3, guys. I mean, it's changed my life for the better. I'm more fit. My kids notice it, and I never thought. I mean, as you guys know, F3 is all guys from all walks of life across the entire city. To know all you guys has been an unbelievable experience. Yeah.
That's a good way to end it. Let's do Namerama.
Oh,
I do Brandon Flaherty 36, The Plague.
The Plague.
John Weber 31, Pony Express.
Aaron Cobb's a 40, cheap seats.
And do we have a call sign?
So Gator does. What's the score?
What's the
What's the score?
There you go. That's what Gator will do. So shout out to Gator for coming up with that one.
That was awesome. Thanks, man. This has been really good.
Good.